he complained to Pierre Trudeau, who was known to be a little bit soft on socialism. Unfortunately, I know about the psychology and the logic of activity of the KGB, and I never allowed myself to be intimidated. Once they spot that you are scared, they keep on developing that line. They would definitely stop all kind of political activity, which they failed to do in my case, because I was stubbornly working for the Canadian broadcasting. And in response to their intimidations, I said that, look, this is a free country, and I am as free as you are. They would make it a point to discover who he is. Well, had you been caught in the act of trying to get out, what would have happened to you? In about 5 years, KGB eventually discovered that I'm working for Canadian broadcasting. See, I made a very big mistake, or most likely I would end up in concentration camp. And I think this is a good time to take a look at the slides. Again, characteristically under statue of Comrade Stalin, extending his friendly hand to peoples of the world. In 1970, after about 6 months of debriefing in Athens by the CIA, and I presume FBI too, they let me go first to Germany, then to Canada. This is a picture of my native town Matish, about 20 miles north from Moscow. They listened to every suggestion that Soviet ambassador gave, and they started shameful investigation, analyzing content of my broadcasts to USSR, which are, some of them are snapshots from my family album, some of them are documents which I smuggled from the Soviet embassy. That was my decision. I had to change my identity to protect my family and my friends in USSR, and of course, subtle intimidations, or, depending on the situation and on the whim of some bureaucrat in KGB, maybe even executed. And that was the only way that I could avoid detection. That's where Americans will belong, unless they will wake up, of course, and force their government to stop aiding Soviet fascism. First of all, because defecting in India is virtually impossible, thanks to very strong pressure from the Soviet government. Excuse me, you were in India on assignment at that time. But until this Soviet junta is being supported by the Western so-called imperial, that is, multinational companies, establishments, governments, and let's face it, intellectual, so-called academia in the United States is famous for supporting the Soviet system. There are close to 25 to 30 million of Soviet citizens who are virtually kept as slaves in forced labor camp system. It's a suicide, as I said, because a great friend, Indira Gandhi, pushed a law through parliament which says, and I quote, "No defector from any country has a right of political asylum in any embassy on the territory of the Indian Republic," which is a masterpiece of hypocrisy. No other defector but the Soviet one needs a political asylum. Well, we've spoken about the intellectuals in this country and also the intellectuals in the Soviet Union. What about down at the broad mass level? Do the people in general, the working people, the workers in general in the Soviet Union, do they support the system? Even those who have all the reasons to enjoy socialism. People like myself, who are a member of journalistic elite, they also hate the system for different reasons though. Not because they lack material affluence, but because they are unfree to think. They are in constant fear, duplicity, split personality, and this is the greatest tragedy for my nation.